Okay, what's up, guys? We're going to do Jacques Barthelemy. That's Jean, Jean, Jacques, Jacqueus, Barthelemy, Barthelemy. And he was a French scholar. We're on page 101, and here's his spirit testimony. Good day, sir. The great difficulty that an antiquarian and searcher into the mysteries of the past has to contend with is the opposition to anything that will throw light on the origin of the Christian religion. In the first place, you are all more or less dependent upon persons who subscribe their money to help you in various ways in your researches into the mysteries of the past, and you must be careful, no matter what you may discover, of not trespassing upon their religious beliefs. But no antiquarian that ever lived has failed to discover that the whole of the modern Christian religion, under the different forms of symbolic worship, is written upon all the temples and tombs of antiquity. But not being able, when I lived on earth, to do as I pleased, I left a key for those who desired to use it, or who had the means to show up the subject of the Christian religion in its true light, and this was called the Alphabet of Palmyra. That's Palmyra, Alphabet of Palmyra, by means of which certain inscriptions upon the ruins of the temples of that ancient city could be used to throw a floodlight upon all the ceremonies of Christianity. There is set forth the doctrine of the Trinity. There is to be found the censer. There is represented the Eucharist in the feast of Bacchus. There are the priestly robes. There are the mitre and other insignia of popes, cardinals, and bishops. There are officiating priests, all paraded before you on those ancient ruins, and on other ruins in Khartoum, Kartoum, Egypt, and in what is known as the Abyssinian Desert. These things have been frequently seen. There also you will find the identical herd that is to be found engraved in the Christian Bibles as the representation of Jesus of Nazareth, carved as the object of heathen veneration. On tombs especially this may be found. It was my belief at first, from the knowledge I obtained, that this face or head was the representation of Ptolemy Euergetes, Euergetes. But I have found out as a spirit that it was of much later origin, and represents the likeness of the reviewer of ancient symbolism, Apollonius of Tyana. I have also, from the examination of drafts made by Sir Warren Hastings of Cave Elephantana in India, found that instead of the Jews wearing the robe or dress that is set down in history as having been worn by Herod, that it was worn by the tyrant Cansa, Cansa, representing the slaughter of the innocents in the cave of Elephanta. I am also satisfied that the Audulin marble represents the life, adventures, and miracles of Apollonius of Tyana, and not Ptolemy of Euergetes, because the characters that are there engraved or cut do not belong to the time or age of that king, but they do belong to an age about 300 years later, which would bring them down to the death of Apollonius. Besides, I know that there were two to be found in the basso relievo on the tombs and temples, the face and effigy of that extraordinary man. Another fact bearing on this point is this: In our antiquarian researches, we acquire the faculty of distinguishing differences of character and style between the antiquities of different ages. I might possibly, after controlling this man for a certain length of time, be able to show you what we antiquarians understood as these differences of face, form, symbols, and signs, and thus distinguish those of one another from one age, thus distinguish those from one age from another. But to do this upon the first control of this medium would be impossible for me. I want to say further that there may be scholars who come here from the spirit world who will convey their ideas more clearly and explicitly than I have done. For under the circumstances, it is with the greatest difficulty I have been able to force this communication through the medium. My name was Jacques Barthelemy. I passed the spirit life in 1795. I was the author of the Travels of Anacharsis the Younger, and that's Anacharsis, the Younger. And we'll now refer to the account of Barthelemy in Nouvelle Biographie Générale. The spirit of this learned antiquarian and reader of the inscriptions that returns and confesses that he did not dare to disclose what he knew to be the truth in regard to them, doubtless gives us a true account of facts as he knows them. As a spirit, he congratulates himself that he at least left behind him in his essay on the language and alphabet of Palmyra the key by which what he left undone may be attained. But the fact of the greatest significance is that the monuments in Upper Egypt and Abyssinia that have been supposed to have been erected in honor of King Ptolemy Euergetes are in reality the monuments erected by the gymnosophists of Upper Egypt and the region still higher up the Nile in honor of the great philosopher, medium, and teacher Apollonius of Tyana. It is a historical fact that Apollonius traveled all over those regions after his famous interview with Vespasian at Alexandria and made a deep and lasting impression among the meditative and philosophical religionists of those distant regions. In relation to the Augulin inscriptions, in view of all the facts, I conclude that the throne or monument at the time was erected by Ptolemy Euergetes around 220 BC, and that a part, at least of the inscription upon it, relates to that Egyptian king. But when Apollonius visited Audulus 300 years later, his followers, who were then in control of affairs in that city, made an inscription upon it, commemorative of the doctrines and religious observances inculcated by Apollonius. In noticing the communication from the spirit of Cosmas Indicopleustes, I searched the works of various writers for information in reference to the Augulin inscription, and found that a part of the inscription had disappeared. This is, to say the least, very significant. It is not more than probable that some pious Christian priests have recognized the importance of erasing the telltale portion of the inscription. I do not hesitate to say, from my large experience in testing spirit communications, that the statements coming from Cosmas and Barthelemy are true. It is a fact, amply attested by truthful spirits, that they have vastly more opportunity of knowing what is true, even as to the affairs of earth, than they had when they were here in mortal form. And having nothing to lose by telling the truth, and everything to gain by doing so, their statement may be depended on when not inconsistent with probability or known facts. The positive evidence of the truth of these spirit statements is within reach, and they will doubtless be fully verified in time. According to the Penny Cyclopedia, the inscription may be found in Montefaucon's Collectia Nova Patrum, also in Fabricius's Bibliotheca Graecia and Crishol's Antiquita Azteca. Okay. This is all on the PDF if you guys want to read those spellings. All right. So that was Barthelemy, Jean-Jacques Barthelemy, the French scholar, Antiquity Unveiled, pages 101 to 104.